Hey everyone.
Uh, I'm here, by the way, if anyone's here. Doing some stuff. Or um Why not signed into chat? Or John, are you in here? Rat interaction system. Let's get to it. First order of business, making the gold or active outline render on top of everything else. So, not bit mask to come down to drills, create a new function, get all this stuff on my desk out of my way. Okay, there you are. That is moderate. Have full mod privileges now. Music too loud, too quiet. All right. We need to create a new material function. Bit check. Yeah, whatever. Now, this up. Then create a an input. Music is perfect. Cool. Appreciate it. Going on. Cool. I'll put it on a BR back screen real quick. I'm still here. I just need to do something. Give me a sec. There we go. All right. I just needed to pull up this documentation about how to do overlapping custom stencils. That way I can make the golden outline render on top of all outlines, which the reason I want to do that is, you can imagine, or I should explain. What I plan on having is I'll have the white outline for objects that are in the distance. You'll have this like whitish blue outline for objects that are within your interact radius, and then the gold outline is the one that you're currently like looking at, kind of a thing. And the white one kind of fades out with distance. I think the distance parameters need to be tweaked, but that's always something we can worry about later. But if you can imagine, there's a lot of items on the floor, stuff like that, and you're looking at this assault rifle that's on the ground. Well, that doesn't look good. You want the golden outline to show on top of everything else, that way you can see the full shape of the gun. Because by default, custom stencil only renders based off of depth, so we're gonna ignore depth and do it specifically based off of actual stencil value. So I've got this tutorial up on the left side that should help with that. And I need to convert all this stuff to functions too. That way I can make it nice and clean. So it's gonna be a lot of cleaning up. So, oh shoot, forgot. Unreal, you have to do, you can't just type in the name of your customer. Or wait, can't. Remember, there's a setting in here. Goes to library, yes. I believe bit check. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, sir. I don't know if it was a good explanation, but try my best. Actually, we need to create another function called single bit check, I guess. Be a good because this uses a custom HLSL function that I got it from a tutorial, so I'm not, I kind of understand what it does, but it just allows it to read multiple. Where's bro been? Moving, getting a life, you know, the whole 9 yards. And completely recoding this game from scratch. So, yeah. I think we'll hold off on that bit for now, though. So we're going to disconnect this because don't worry about that. We need to get post process. What is the node called? I'll just go copy it from over here. Yeah, this one. That's what the node. That way we can slurp between this and this. Plug that into the alpha, and then priority is going to be 1. Yeah. Yeah, in order to do this, we need to take our custom stencil, only get the R value, and we stick that there. And then for simplicity, we're just gonna add a color and call this mask color, something like that. Should work well. Boom. Plug that into the 1. Now go over here, duplicate this here for now, and we change the stencil to like 5. Still shows 4, so we'll just keep it on 4 then. And then if I go to my material instance, which I can drag out here, then in theory, you probably should make this white on a white sphere. As we drag this up, cool. Yeah, as soon as we hit 4, interesting. It shows it for 3. But yeah, it's rendering on top of other objects, which is technically what we want. So in theory, render on top of all objects that have a custom depth. Go look at custom stencil. Yeah, that's what we're looking for, because even though it has this value is coming up as 0.7, even though it's not coming up as our exact value, then it's still showing up perfectly. Now I'm curious if that is based off of, yeah, okay, it's based off of this value in here. So since we're telling it to use the 3rd bit and ignore depth, it's checking for bit 3, which makes sense when you sit down and think about it. Kind of a new system, never used this really before, so probably just nope, never mind, it's broken now. Cool. All right, so now that we know that that works, what we can do is we can take our, where's our gold code? That's not, actually, like I said, I need to compress this down to a function. And that's the outline function. This is from previous versions of the game, so I just migrated it over. That way I don't have to try and refigure it out all by myself again. Makes time faster, makes the game come out faster. Hopefully, we'll see. Material function. And we'll also need another one for the fill. But we'll worry about outline first. So this is the entire outline code. We should be able to yoink that boy in here. You can delete that. And this is when we start having fun. Input. Scalar down to there. Put as 1. Vector 4. We want that to be color. Paste that here. Cannot. Cool. Love that. 551. Yep. Go down to there. Nope, I don't want color. Edge, angle, fall off. And at some point I would like to actually update this this code for finding or for doing the outline, because see if I can find a good example of it. Oh, we'll have the outline disabled, so I can't show you, so that's cool. Yeah, I'm using 5.3, so because now that I'm using the GMC, which has been both a blessing and a curse, now that I've kind of figured it out, it's thankfully more of a blessing than a curse. I had to upgrade to UE5, so that's partially the reason for the entire recode. Is the GMC requires a lot of stuff to be completely rewritten to have networked prediction and rollback and all of that in order to work properly. So it wasn't just something that I could just copy and paste all of my code into UE5. I've been able to use a lot of the same values, so the movement feels, as far as I can tell, identical. And obviously I've played the most of the game, so if I think it feels identical, then it feels identical. But yeah, so that's part of the reason for the entire recode, but it's also that the last version was never meant to be the final version. The way I go about it is I have kind of a tier like explanation that I do. So I have like, I call things Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3. So it's Gen 1, it's, you know, purely prototyping, kind of just trying to see if something does work, if it will work. Which the first version of the game, let me open up YouTube while I'm talking about this. The first version of the game, which you'll see in this video, is, you know, it's very bad. It's like this trailer that I have on my channel. Like this is from high school. This was me teaching myself Unreal Engine, so you can imagine this wasn't that good. I didn't know about lag compensation. I didn't really know much about networking, but it was teaching myself how to code, and I was learning some networking while doing it. So this is what I would consider to be Gen 1 of the game. Actually, if I go to the company channel, this is more so what I would consider to be Gen 1 of the game. Like, you know, it had animations, it had player models, it had terrible aiming, but that's on my part. And you know, it worked. It was a multiplayer game. It wasn't fair because again, no lag compensation, so it was very poorly networked, but it did work. I would consider this Gen 1 of the game because it worked. And then you go to something like this, which is the most recent gameplay. I would consider this Gen 2. You know, we've got some art in the game. The gameplay is mostly lag compensated, but whether that's lag compensated properly or not is a different story. But like, you know, we've got animations. It feels good. It looks good. Like, fundamentally, the gameplay was done. It just needed art. And that's what I consider Gen 3 to be, is finished. It has art, it has gameplay, it has all that. So this was also completely coded from the ground up, and this was way more optimized and way smoother than Gen 1 of the game, and so I hope for that to also be the case for Gen 3. So yeah, Gen 3, I mean, I can click play for you guys. You know, we've got, don't worry about the arrows, those are debugged, but like, if you guys have been looking at the updates channel, like, we've got full animations now, and I've got all the mantling and sliding and stuff in, so movement is nice and smooth and clean. We've got actual animations now. It's not just like, they're still stiff, but yeah, once we get the completely new player model, hopefully an animator will come along and help out. The GMC is the general movement component, and it allows you, I can actually open up my Onyx movement component, as I have it called. It's essentially the, exactly, thank you, Coma. Coma's my level designer. Everybody say hi. Everybody pay him like 20 bucks so I don't have to. I'm just kidding. But he is amazing. I don't know where he's going with that. But yes, the general movement component allows for properly networked movement, which you can always just say, you know, whatever the client says is true, but you never want to trust the client in a multiplayer game, especially with the level of shooter stuff that I'm going to be doing. The server should be authoritative. So this has client-side prediction, which just means that when you move, you'll move instantly on your screen. And then when the server moves, it'll tell you if that move was a valid move or not. Without that, it feels really bad and really laggy, or it opens it up to cheating. So yeah, the general movement component just allows for properly networked server authoritative movement, essentially. Bare bones, that's what it is. So I've got all my movement stuff here. And it's been an amazing plugin. So that's been helping a ton, and it also helps make hit detection also more accurate. So hopefully hit detection in this next version will be like as accurate as possible. I'm working on a project and a video right now for projectile lag compensation. So whenever I finish with that, my time is currently focused more on Onyx itself. So not really working on that a ton right now, but when that comes out, hopefully it'll be a good learning experience, or a good like learning tool for, you know, game developers who might not know anything about that compensation, who want to learn more about it. I mean, that's stuff that I've done a crap ton of research for in the past like year and a half. So I don't consider myself to know 100% about it. However, I do consider myself to know more than the average like multiplayer developer, just simply because of the amount of research and stuff I've done to make Onyx feel as relatively good as it does today. Which again, obviously there's stuff to be worked on. It's not perfect, but that's the issue with networking. Is networking, you will never have 100% like reliable networking. That's just the networking of the world today. It's unreliable, which is unfortunate, but gotta work with it. So like the GMC gives proper networked movement, but that doesn't mean that your movement will 100% be smooth. Like if you're playing on a bad connection, you're likely gonna have some issues. It can't solve everything, and that's where you get the issues with like projectiles. Is it can't lag compensate for everyone, unfortunately. So, anyways, colors 0. That is 1. That is 2, and line width is. I think those are the 4 settings. Yeah, for outline, I think that's all we need. And then now we can create the fill function. We can just copy this. That's outline. Fill Swift. Well, I'm glad you found it. Hope you enjoy. I think my dog's pushing on my door to come in my room. My door's making a very loud sound. Fill alpha, we'll stick that at 0.5 for default. We also need a fill color. We don't even need to call this fill. We know it's going to be a fill function, so we can just call this color and alpha. I did not need that. This vector 3. That's what I needed. Do you plan on adding really good graphics to the game at some point? I know that you're planning on making this game run on potato PC. Yes and no. I can show my concept art because I'm not sure who has or hasn't seen it. It's public in the Discord server now, so everyone should have seen it, or everyone should have access to it. So I'm not afraid to show it off publicly now. I can find the last place I've it. So this is the concept art for Homa's map Pathos. Very fun. Very amazing concept art. I'm very blessed to have this concept artist. So yes, I want good graphics, but I want them to be on the level of Halo 2 and Halo Reach, where the model quality is not that high quality and the texture quality, it kind of makes up for it. But because it's just texture quality, you can very easily reduce texture quality with a setting. It's very hard to reduce model quality because that requires a lot more work, because then you have to have LODs, which every game should have anyways, but that requires most of the time custom models, and that just makes the game bigger. So texture quality is easy to reduce at runtime as long as it's a factor of 2. That makes it easy. So yeah, I want good graphics. I want it to kind of look like Halo 3, Halo Reach-ish, where it's not the highest quality, but the textures and the style kind of make up for that. So it's kind of a stylized realism. Making that run on potato PCs is definitely going to be a task, but we are willing to deal with it. So giving me that same error over here. It was giving me that same error. Well, it's gonna give me errors. I don't care. This is the preview. I don't need the preview to look good. I think that's all we need. That. So now we should be able to come out to our outline material. It does look good. I am again, very blessed to have my concept artist on my team. Not wait to see what he does with all of the other maps that Coma and I, well, mainly Coma, but I've overseen the development of the maps, but sort of. Coma kind of just goes off on his own and does stuff because I let him. I don't limit him by any means. At least, not that I can think of, as far as I'm aware. Let him do whatever. Yeah, there's already plenty of settings in Unreal that you can just reduce texture quality. It's built in. It's 100% built into the system. It's something that I've had in the game since almost day one, not exactly day one. So it's really easy to implement, and that's why I'm going the texture route rather than the model route. There is a setting for models, but that tends to make it look worse than just doing a simple texture change. So, but that option will also be there for you. Like I can launch the game, and I can show you the settings that we have for graphics. It won't affect the game currently because there are no really textures and stuff to affect in this version of the game. But yeah, if we go to video, you've got all your overall graphics quality, and then you've got view distance, anti-aliasing, post-processing, shadows, textures, which this will be the big one. Effects, foliage, shading, and water quality. So there isn't a model one, but I'm pretty sure that is one that is fairly easy to add. So there's plenty of settings, but it's also like we've also got other settings like dynamic projectile lights. This is, you know, having lights on projectiles that'll affect the, you know, area around it. It looks really cool. It looks really great. It really makes the projectiles feel grounded in the world. But they can also get expensive depending on the number of projectiles that are around you. So this is something that it's also, you know, a performance thing. And there'll be a lot of these little details like this where they'll help the game look great, but they also affect performance. So, you know, you'll really be able to go through and tweak your settings to be exactly how you want. That way you can get your best frames while keeping the game looking how you want. So anyways, now I need to figure out how exactly I do. Okay, I just add it. Cool. Now that I think about it, this is actually the function I need for the outline. I don't need all the color stuff. But what is this output? That should just be outputting vector 3, I believe. Let me expose both of these library. That in theory be all, which in that case I also don't need this to happen. That'll be done in the, I believe so. We'll see how this works. Been a while since I've done material stuff, so this will be interesting. Let's get our outline function. We don't need our color anymore, so but it also would be nice to have it automatic. I could just add 2 outputs. Output, we'll just call this, instead of result, we'll call this processed outline. And then plug that into there instead. Mod, no, but there is a creative mode where you can make your own maps and stuff. My only issue with adding full-on mod support is 2 things. One, It is not in the original scope of the game, and I'm not adding that simply because uh that's feature creep. And while yes, it's cool to have, no, you're good. You're making it interactable. You're interacting, which is good. Otherwise the stream would just be boring. And it shows me that people care. But yeah, if I have full mod support, that's something that you have to build into it. Which sure, you could say, well, instead of just building in the creative mode, just build in a mod support instead of a creative mode. And sure, that's a valid reason. My answer is no, because I much prefer in-engine or in-game map makers to mod support, because in-game map makers, I can limit what people make, whereas mod supports, yeah, if I use something like Steam, and that's another big thing, but I'll get on that. If I use something like Steam, then only people with Steam can get those mods. Only people on PC can have those mods, but I would like to release on consoles, and so having it be an in-engine thing, an in-game thing, means that whatever anybody makes, anybody can play that on any system. So it's not just limited to one system, which is better for me, because somebody makes a really cool map, somebody makes a really cool game mode or something, it's not a mod, then everyone can enjoy it. Anyone can cross-play with their friends and have fun. So yeah, that's why I will not be adding mod support. Some people have also asked the ability to, you know, upload custom models into the map maker, upload custom sounds and textures and stuff, which I'm not against. It is possible. Maybe not in Blueprint. Get a ++ guy to help with that, because I review ++. However, that also hangs on the edge of the same reason for mod support. One of the other reasons of not having mod support is that I don't want people uploading, what's the word? Unnecessary, or not unnecessary, but unwanted content. You know, lewd stuff that I don't want to be associated with my game. Having mod support, then people can create those mods, and while sure, the game is not going to be rated, it's going to be rated M for mature, it's still something that I don't want to be associated with my game, because that can create a bad image. So not having that kind of stuff, not having custom models and stuff that people can import and abuse, is a big thing for me. So hope that answers your question. Oh shoot. Copy these values. Go into here. White. I don't really need to save that, but new theme. Name. Call this. That is not what that color looks like, but okay. Oh, it's because I have sRGB turned off. Anyways, now that that's saved, I can connect this. I can go in active interactable color, set that to that. And yeah, no problem. Again, not again, but the other issue is people will find a way to mod the game anyways. So whether or not I like it, it's gonna happen. So even if I don't build in mod support, it's still gonna happen. People, I mean, things like Lethal Company, it's a lot easier to mod Unity games from what I understand. But things like Lethal Company and stuff like that, people have already modded the heck out of it. So people are gonna find a way to mod it anyways. But again, my biggest thing is allowing quote unquote mods, which would just be levels and stuff made in the level editor, made in Atlas, being able to play cross-platform. So now look at this. Look at this versus this monstrosity. It's so much cleaner. So now that we've got that working, in theory, we should be able to plug this in and start messing around with settings, and we should have an outline. Oh, brother. Oh my, I've got to do this bowl. That, yeah, color is vector form. So can I like delete this, or even though it says V4, I still want it to I want it to say V3. It's weird like that. All right, thanks for stopping by. See you later. Now, in theory, pick up outline, go over here. Look at that. Not exactly what I'm looking for, but it's doing it. It's doing what we asked. I'm assuming we've got to put all of these post-process input vectors. I hope these ones don't matter. I hope this one's the only one that matters. But I'm going to assume that's a vector 3. We're going to do another input type vector 3 called post-process color. We'll just plug that in there. Never mind, it's a flow 4. And that does get rid of the error. So I assume now if we copy this, that in here. Let's go change all of these by 1. So color will now be 1, glow amount will be, and not 41, which would still work. Alrighty. Now we should be able to plug that in there. Errors go away, which is good. And it still don't work. Why? I assume because this is also, we need the same. Once again. I think that's all we need for that. Save. Plug this into there. Oh, boo-hoo. There we go. That's what we're looking for. So, however, it does not render above other things now, which is not good. That's not what we were wanting. Let's just go back to using solid color, see if that still works. Yeah, solid color still works on top. I assume it's because I'm doing depth checks inside of here. So is both Phil Swift here? I'm never gonna stop. Joke. Yeah, because I'm doing depth checks here. Custom depth check. So gosh, it's been ages since I made this. I know I followed a tutorial for this. I could find again. Don't care much for it, but that's kind of, I guess the outline really doesn't need a fill because it'll just be showing through everything. So outline, we don't need fill. Do not need fill Swift. So we should just be able to plug that straight in. That should just look nice. Yep, still renders the outline. Let's go increase my material. There it is. Active color flow amount will change to like 30. Yeah, I think that's what I had it up before, which looked good. Outline width, I think I had a 3. Here we go. Anyways, this is why I don't like this outline system, because you get these little edge cases right here where I take a screenshot of it. I drag it over. You can see, like, right here, you get some weird, like, artifacts, and it doesn't make a full outline around sharp corners like that, which I don't like personally. I'm fairly certain I know how I could go in there and do it. I think it would double the amount of instructions, because it'd be, instead of just checking up, left, down, and right for outlines, it's technically checking also all the 4 corners, so it's technically twice the amount of code, but I think it'd look better. And it's really only happening on one object. The other objects, I think it's fine not to have. But yes, I need to go and edit the outline material now to not do depth checks, which figure out where that is. I assume. See, I'm looking at this outline code, and I genuinely don't even know what it's doing. Like, I know it's adding, like, this is what it's doing to add to the left and right and up and down to figure out if those pixels, I assume, are matching the depth. So I know it's somewhere around here. Interesting. I might be spending too much time on this. I might just come back to this later. I mean, we have the general idea of you know, overlapping with other objects, even if they are also rendering outlines. So the general idea is there. It's just I need to figure out how to get the outline. I don't know materials as well as I would like to, unfortunately. So it's checking the custom depth, which I don't know if we can actually, if that actually shows anything. Not base color. You can kind of see it. Where the depth is based off the actual depth of the object. So I'm wondering, what if we change this from custom depth to depth? Probably break some stuff. It does something in the preview now, which is cool. What does that do here? Oh, we're not showing that. Oh wait, we are. Kinda doing something. Not what we want though. Whoa. I guess this also works as a wireframe shader. That is cool. That is very cool. Happy little accident. That is very cool. That might be useful later. Try -50. Alright, man. Sleep well. Thank you. Let's go -20. And we'll just leave it at that for now. Interesting. Okay. Let's get the other two colors incorporated. Let me on my other screen. I have 3 of them. So let's do essentially just duplicate this 4 times. Drag this up here because we don't need that over there yet. And then let's go down here for just right. We could just do bit checks on that, but it's not. I think we can just do the normal bit mask. In range pencil. Let me just grab 2 more lerps, which we plug into each other. Plug this in. We'll clean this up in a bit. Don't you worry. Processed outline into that. And then we'll copy and paste this. And we'll go that. Call this distant stencil value. And then yeah, I can go distant color. Rename all of it. And for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to copy this for the last 2. Distant. All in range. So now in theory, we just have to add active outline, active outline. Pretty cool. So these ones will have preview the in range. Let's set that up. We'll quickly look at buffer visualization depth, which is 2. Pencil value should be cool. Low amount for this one. We want this fairly high, but not as high as the active. And then the distant outline, we want that to be white with full amount of 10, maybe 5. We don't really need it to be that. Yeah, I think that looks good, and it's a lot cleaner. And then last but not least, we need to take this distance code that I wrote a couple days ago, apply that to the distance. And then we can start cleaning this. Oi. I think we'll leave our... Goodness, if I can click on stuff. I think we'll leave our outline material looking like that. That looks good. We'll leave the stuff down here just because it works. I think at some point in my old project, I had got the outline to not... to like only render behind stuff and not render behind stuff. I might have to dig into some of that old code and figure that out, because that would be very nice to have again, so I can get the... and get this to render always on top. Again, my material knowledge, especially post-processing, is not as good as I would like it, unfortunately. So that's just something I'll have to mess around with at some point. So yeah, we'll leave our material at that. It looks nice. Oh, I didn't set the fade distance. Interesting, you can't have subcategories in materials. Good to know. So I think what I had was starts fading out at, I think, 1500 and it ends at 2500. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good distance. That's something that'll just be tweaked with gameplay. So now we can actually work on the actual interaction system itself. So we're going to need an interface. Blueprint, interface. We're gonna have multiple functions for... We're not gonna worry about the text for now. So I should create those functions before. Let's do... get primary interact text. An output of type text. Secondary interact text. Then we also need get primary interact, or just get interact image. Could return a or is it a texture 2D? That's what it is. Yeah. And then we need an interact primary. That'll just be a simple boolean. And then interact secondary with also boolean. I'm gonna have to open up my old project. I think that's all we need, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to... No, my previous interact system wasn't bad. I just want to make this system smarter. Because I also didn't have outlines on it. So that's something we'll be adding. But while my old project launches, we can go ahead and close a lot of these. Need the player open, we don't need movement. We don't really need that, we won't be editing that. And we don't really need to edit that anymore. So, blueprints, testing, let's just create a basic pickup class. We're not going to actually use this. But we will stick a static, no, skeletal. Because I don't have the static meshes for the weapons yet. It wouldn't be that hard to create, but this is a test thing. Oh, too bad. We're going to create a static mesh. Create asset. Or no, make static mesh. There it is. Models, weapons, static mesh. Rifle. Boom. That'll work. We don't need it to be fancy. Delete that and add a static mesh at the root. And then just for simplicity, we'll just make this simulate physics. And then do is not that. Not two. Add some random rotation. Then if we simulate, yeah, look at that. That's what I'm talking about. This will actually be so nice. I'm not going to have actual physically simulated weapons, but tools that would be. I think that's too network intensive. So I'm going to go with more of a simplified physics. But it would be nice to have them. I might be able to get away with some stuff. Yep. Need to make them go to project settings, collision, add a new object channel called pickups. Default is block. Most things should block it. And then in the player, we want the pickups to custom of type pickup, and we want it to ignore pawn. The player itself will also ignore pawn pickups. Now we cannot. Cool. Now the question is, how do we actually want to tell them? Render. Another blueprint called L, or actually we can just go function or fraction. we can call this set outline type with the input as outline interaction outline type whatever values I have here, ones we need to copy. 4, 2, and 1. We need to have an input of type. I believe it's... That is not an O. I believe it's... We can just do that custom. That. And then we can stencil value. Also set stencil. That's the same one. Right math. This needs to be a primitive component. Object component yeah. Then we can do get enter type. Nope, not what I wanted. That's what I want. Oh shoot, I suppose I should also do an input. So if it's a distant outline, we want it to be 1, closest to, active is. Probably go into my material and rename it to be close. That's a much better name than in range. This is 1. That. Now we have a function for that we can tell anything to render custom depth. So, see, how do we want to do this? I'm trying to think optimally. Either on every single pickup we can have a, if I can spell capsule, and have a capsule component, which, you know, we can move like right there. Could have a capsule on pretty much every single object, and that would be its, you know, its interaction radius, which would work. Or we set this to, it is cool. Either we can have that, or we can just have a single like sphere on the player. And have this as a basic sphere that's just, you know, massive. I mean, we could have this as like 2500. And then we can have it to where we can optimize this by, I guess world dynamic would be the best one. But it ignores everything except for pickups. And I don't know which one's less optimized. I would assume this is more optimized simply because it's only looking for overlaps with pickups and not everything in the world. And it's not, you know, another component for every single pickup. So if pickups are flying throughout the world, it's not having to tick their position. I think that's going to be the smarter system. And in theory, for both the distant outline. So let's try this. Let's disable this. Because that means this, we can just add an interface onto anything and boom, it'll work. So let's get this, just call this interaction sphere maybe. Then we can scroll down and do on component begin overlap. Make sure overlaps are actually enabled on it, because generate overlaps is on. Not be an input. It should be. So now we can do the overlapped actor. We can check. Does implement interface. Check if it implements the interaction interface. Which means if it does, we want to tell it to render out. Do that time. And for simplicity's sake, we can always just get the root component. That's not a. This is. Let's just plug that in for simplicity's sake. Yes, we want to render, and we want to render it distant outline. So, in theory, oh, they don't implement the interface, so it's not going to work. Class settings, implemented interface. Let's add interact. Boom, interaction interface, and in theory, they hidden. Turn it to face that. When we spawn, it don't work. I messed up something here. No, those settings are all right. Let's just debug this and make sure. Oh, that's the thing. My bad. Oh, maybe not. There we go. Didn't work on half of them. That we got some distant outline. However, this doesn't run when the player spawns, which is not good. Wait a minute. Body. Oh. No, we don't care. But we can look it up. UE5 overlap event not running and overlap volume. Interesting. So, we might have to see on component wake. We might have to get overlapping, or yeah, get the interaction sphere, get overlapping components, and then loop through that. I would think this would work. I don't know if on wake it's called when the begin or when the actor gets spawned, but let's hope it does, which means we can just create a function called pick up overlapped. Then we can just put in the primitive component. We can just call pick up overlapped with, oh, compile it's gonna give me an error. Stick that in there, and then in this we can just do this code. Then we can get actor. Yeah, that's what we can do. And then in this case we can just call that exact same function for overlapped other component file, and in theory it don't work. Let's see. True, because it's not going to have any overlapping components when. So what we can do to cheat this, we can set the relative location to something super high in the world, and we just set it back to 0, which should then technically trigger overlaps, which then we might not actually need this code because it should now run this. We'll see. Yeah. Oh. just for testing, what if we had like a small 1 second delay just to see if this idea even works? Maybe we need to turn on sweep. And then let's also turn on this to, where's that option? Turn off hidden in game. That would also help that this event just isn't even getting run, so that's nice. Did not work how I thought it did. On component activated, maybe? That works. Could I just do a print string to see if it works, but I mean, we could always run in the begin play for the construction script. I don't think you can do it in the construction script. That's unfortunate. We can force it to activate. I think the wake and sleep stuff is for physics, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, okay, so that works. Good old cheating the physics end. I don't know if we need sweep on though. We'll without it. Boom. And we have outlines. So anytime a player spawns, they will see all the outlines of the weapons around them, which is amazing. We might not actually have to do this with the next step, but you know, we're going one step at a time. Let's disable the visual of this. Don't want to see that in the world all the time. And then, yeah, so what we need now, when it stops overlapping, end overlap, that's what I'm looking for. We can set, I think just add another boolean. Render outline. Put that straight in there. By default, we can make this true. Copy paste this. Other component and false. Oh. There, that should disable all the yeah, we click play. And then if we, you know, get a certain distance away from them, still not rendering outlines. But if we just come in just a tad, then you can see they still render. So this will be nice. Kind of optimizes it a little bit. So now we do the close outlines, which I'm debating. Either we can add a second sphere, which again is adding a little bit more complexity, and we can do some optimizations by saying only when this actor starts viewed by somebody, whether that's somebody that's spectating you or somebody that's, or you're the one that's playing the object or playing as the player. Whenever somebody starts viewing this player, I think, what is that? On become view target. On become view target. Yeah. So whenever this becomes the view target for someone's camera, then we activate the sphere or deactivate it. That way the sphere is only ever running for one person on all systems, which would be great because we really don't need this for everyone. So we can probably do like we can disable tick on it, we can deactivate it, do whatever we need for it to not take up as, hopefully, as much processing power as possible. Obviously it's just a simple item, it's not going to be anything noticeable, but it's optimization. And then the other question becomes, do we have now a second interaction sphere for the close items, or do we just have one, and then on the event tick, which I need to fix some of this, but on the event tick we could just shrink this interaction sphere and then check to see which items are still in it, and any items that are still in it then become blue. That would technically work, but that is also then something that's running on tick. So it's simplicity versus optimism. I think for simplicity's sake, I'm just gonna make two. Was I am going to go with 300 for the interaction radius. Let's see how that feels. And then we can do the exact same stuff. From both instances, probably not much of a difference of performance. Either way, it's something that's being ticked, but just we're ticking the position, rotation, and overlaps, and all of that jazz. Not to mention initial, not exactly hiccup, but the initial jank of having to force it to be active. But again, this is something that we can force it to be active when we would be anyways. So in theory, this isn't really jank, this is necessary. But we would have to deactivate it on begin play. So there is still technically. Not that I should be addressing this. I think I'll leave it with two circles for now, because then I can really easily tweak the radius of this and also have a visual for it. I could always turn this into a component that gets added onto the player. That way it's a component. It's something that when it becomes a view target, it gets added onto the player, and when it gets removed as a view target, it gets removed from the player. And it's not just something that's always on the player, it's a component. That way, in theory, I could go add this to other actors in the game. You know, if this was like a Halo style game, I could just add that to elites, and boom, elites now have interaction systems. So maybe making this a cylinder or a component would be best. I'm trying to divide as much as I can into separate things. That way, they're as optimized as possible, as that's the point of this version of the game, is to be optimized. But for now, let's just worry about getting the outlines working. That's my main focus. boom. These will be distant. And then it interlaps with the close interaction system. Then we want it to be of type close. And then when we out of this, whenever we end overlap, we want to check I guess it doesn't really, I guess when we come out of it, true, no, we would want it to, we'd want to check if that actor is over, we want to check if the actor that has just left this is still overlapping these distant interaction sphere. And if it is, then do this. If it is, then we do render the outline. If it's not, then it'll tell outline nothing. If it is still overlapping it, we want to change it to distant, and then if it's not, actually it really doesn't matter, but this did no matter what. So that should work. Boom. Oh, but leaving it doesn't work. Oh, errors. Oh. Oh. That'd make a lot of sense. Surprised Unreal didn't yell at me when I compiled. So, 3 meters is obviously really wide. Maybe we should center this at the base of the player, since that's where, you know, their feet are. That's where the objects most of the time are going to be interacted with. And I can always change this to a capsule in the future if I feel like it. Dang, that's even a really big distance. I bring it down. And this is the exact reason why I have the outline colors, because not only is it a good visual cue for players, but it's also great for debugging. I can tell the actual interaction radius. And I can see stuff now, which is cool. And yeah, I suppose actually that blue outline should completely overwrite white outline. So if I can figure out how to do that for the active interactables, for the gold outlines, then I should totally do that for blue. So gold will supersede blue and blue will supersede white. Kind of like a layer system. Be interesting. But I think it would look the best. Well, now that I have this working, next step is to start checking this off in my roadmap. Will be public soon for those who are still watching and are curious about the roadmap. Will be publicly visible soon. We're still working on tweaking a few things and getting my entire team on the roadmap. So hopefully that should work. John, are you still here? Or actually, oh, Coma's not dead. Dang it. So now we need to actually figure out the smart interaction, which is going to run on tick. So we need to have a function for I need to drag this over here. A sequence. And then we do branch is locally viewed. Yeah. So if this is locally viewed, then we want to run our function determine current interactable, and then we want to make sure we call that before we do that, we actually need to check in the overlap. If the type is equal to, that is not the one I wanted. That is equal to close, then we want that to be then we want to create a variable list of, yeah, I'll likely convert this to a component in the future, because then again, the variables, you won't need all these variables in the player. It'll just be in the component, which they don't need to have all these variables if you're not even spectating that player. So probably putting this in a component will be best, but I need to prototype the system first. Fastest to do it here. So yeah, call this overlapped interactable, which I actually don't need, because all I need is active interactable, because I can just get the overlapped interactables by grabbing the interaction sphere and getting the overlapping actors. So I can save some memory and some time with that. Active interactable, we need to set this to 4. Boom. Actually don't need that. That. Actually, we copy this. Hit overlapping. Why did I copy this? It's not going to be overlapping actors of type actor. You know, we're gonna see if this is correct, because what we're going to do is string. We're just going to get the length of this. And then we'll play this in. So if I walk in here, boom, it says 8. Cool. It does still only overlap with. So now what we do is, now that we know that that works, and check this. We loop through these, figure out which ones probably do a sphere trace for objects of type interactable. Oh, we can't do of type interact. Uh. Trying to figure out the most optimal way to do this. That way it also works for things like buttons, vehicles, anything that's literally interactable. It should automatically detect, like, if you're looking at a vehicle versus the weapons on the ground. Obviously, you should choose the vehicle over you. So oh, let me look at my old project. I think it just opened. Not just opened, but it's been open for a while. Determine current interactable. Yeah. So first thing we do is figure out the distances, which we don't need to do first. I would simply do the distance to the segment first. And then determines if we're looking at anything. If we're looking at anything, then that's when it this is also based off of type interactable. So like I wish you could do like a line trace for tag almost. Well, true, if we do a line trace for, I just add a new collision profile. That's all we need. Collision, trace channels, interaction. By default, most things will ignore it. We only want things that can actually be interacted with. Block it. So then we can do a yeah, line trace first won't be bad because we only really want to run that other code if we're not looking at something, which 90% of the time isn't going to be the case, but a line trace is easy to do and that's more complex. We want to keep the complex code. So I'd say we do line trace by panel. And we start that at our person camera location. The world location. Also want to get forward vector. Want to multiply that distance by I don't know, 300. I mean, if our close interaction radius is 150, yeah, we'll just do 200, 300. And then if that ends, actually, we can probably do 500. I don't know, some weapons might be long, and as long as they're within your radius, then you should be able to look at the end of them to sort through it. So we'll see about that. So 500, and then we do plus, add that to location. Nope, I'm putting this all in backwards. Clean this up a bit. Trace channel, we're going to go interaction. Trace complex, we want this to be yes, because we want you to be able to look directly at an object. And then out hit, just to test. If it was a hit, then we want to get the actor, or no, the component, and we want to do that outline type to active. Actually, first I want to stop playing in multiplayer. Secondly, we want to check if that is in our current like overlapped actors. If it's not, then find item that hit actor. If this is not equal to -1, then we want to mark it as current active interactable. Goodness. Cool. It's just not working now. That's nice. I wonder if it's because we told whenever we end that to change it to distant. No, it's just not working anymore. Cool. What do we change? I literally didn't change anything. Y'all saw it. I know I'm not going that crazy. It was working. I haven't touched any of this code. I did touch all that code. I'm stupid. Now, if I look at... Maybe? Oh, I disabled that. I'm a very bad game developer. So now if we overlap with them, and I look at it... Still don't work. Why? Okay, I'm going to return this. I'm going to turn my debug arrows off, because... I don't need them anymore. And then we'll also turn this... Oh. I know what I'm doing wrong. You kind of have to go tell this to block interaction. That way, you know, the traits can actually combine with it. Now if we overlap with these and I look at it, it still doesn't work. Let's go interaction type, 1 frame. What in the huh? Why is it coming from back there? That makes sense. That doesn't make sense. What? What am I doing wrong? Oh, using first person mesh, not first person camera. Which is what it's supposed to be called, which is why I did it wrong. There we go. This will work 100%. Yeah, look at that. now we just need to save a value for active interactable. And then we just check if we get active interactable. Drag that to a validated get. First things first, actually. We want to check if active interactable is not valid, then we don't want to do anything. But if it is valid and we didn't hit it with our trace, then that means we just want to set it to at root component. As to primitive component. Stick that in there. We want to tell it not to render the outline and make it a distant object because no. We'll have to create a function for evaluating interactables. That way, if it changes at any state, it'll just reevaluate which one it is, and it'll just check if it's overlapped with this one. Then, well, we know it's a close interact. If it's not, then we check if it's interact or if it's overlapped with the distance, and then if it's not, then we just know it's not in our radius. And then this code will automatically handle it turning active. So for now, this will work, sort of, not really. But this is where we need to do if active interactable is valid and these two are not equal, meaning that the object we're looking at is not the same as it was last frame, meaning, you know, we're looking at a different object. Then we want to set this one to be that. If it's not, then we just don't want to do anything because that means we're still just looking at the same object. And actually, first thing we want to do is clear the active interrupt. I'm going to clear the current active interactable, not be the active interactable first, and then stick it in there. And then if not, then it'll look a little jank, but it's the general idea. Trying to get down. All right, let's create the function. Put the input as actor. We'll do actor. Dragging these two. And we'll check get overlapping actors. As long as compile this first. As long as actor interesting. I didn't even know this function existed. Well, that'll be nice. We'll use that at some point. So we'll get overlapping actors of the distant interaction sphere. If this is not equal to -1, meaning it is in the array, it is a valid index, then we want to continue down the next step. However, if it's not equal to -1, meaning it is equal to -1, we want to remove it from our list. So also add is valid here just to be nice and safe. Okay. So, if it's not on the list, then we want to check if... Or actually, we want to remove it. So we want to set active... Not that. Set outline type. We want to get its root component. Or get actor. There's something where we can just get the first primitive component. I wonder if that's something. Huh. Wonder if this will work. That way we don't have to cast. Wonder if we can just do... I don't know if this is any more optimized, but it should get us the first primitive component. So let's see if we can copy that, stick that into two. In theory, the first component is most likely going to be the mesh of you know, the actor. Most of my pickups and stuff are only ever going to have one mesh, so in theory, it should work. Yeah, we do that, and then we essentially just copy and paste this code. But we're going to use close interaction sphere instead. And then boom, done. That's really all we need to do. And then last but not least, if it is in our interaction sphere and it's not equal to I'm going to set this to yes to put it as a distant outline. But if active interactable is not equal to actor, my variable. Oh, what the hell? I'm just going to copy it. So if the current actor we're trying to check is not equal to our current interactable, then that means it's not the active. So we want to set the outline to be, or we just don't want to do anything because the tick code will handle that. So in that case, we just want to set it to close and render the out. Now, just called determine interactable state. Set interactable none. Actually, probably just do this. Is active. And if it's not active, then put it to. So now, boom. They're not equal, which means different ones. So we want to take our current active interactable, tell it that it's not an active one anymore, set it to null. Then we set the outline type on the new active interactable, active, set it. If it doesn't get a hit, then we just tell the old active interactable to update its state. And then tell it's not active anymore and set that also back to. Oh, let's see if this works. Interesting. Why is it still allowing that? Active interactable is not valid. Unless this just has to loop back here. Interesting. That shouldn't be happening. What if we just don't need to keep. Seriously? That was it? That doesn't make any sense though. But now we're running into it. Where back on. Hitting this one, looking at this one, but if I transition to this one, I'm very clearly looking at this one now, but it's not marking that one as active. But they're different. I don't have that pasted. Copied anymore. Instead, we just do this. Oh, it's broken. In my mind, this code is foolproof. But if you think about it, we're looking at this one, and then we start looking at this one. Well, this is our current, and then as soon as we start looking at this one, the current object that we're looking at is not equal to our variable of current interactable. So they're not equal, meaning that they're not the same object. So we go up here, yeah, true, they're not the same object. We tell this one to redetermine its state, and we're telling it that it's not the active one. So no matter what, it should be either getting turned off, getting set to a distant outline, or getting set to a close outline. So actually, why do I even have this boolean? If there's nothing on true, then it'll always be false. I can just plug this straight in there, like I was originally going to do. So yeah, it's predetermining its state, which should always come out to something different than active. Then we're setting active interactable to nothing, because it's now technically nothing. But then we're going back setting the outline on to active, and then telling that be active interactable. But then if I do this, then that's when it starts breaking. That's when you can get 2. Doesn't make any sense. Because active interactable doesn't even get set to anything until after. And once I get this outline working, I'll probably end stream. I need to go get some food and relax my brain a little bit. This is hurting my brain. I mean, all of these cases have end stuff, except for this. So oh, I'm stupid. It'll work. Now, this is the second part of it, is because we're tracing for complex, you're going to see that if we even go into just the middle of this actor, well, all of a sudden we can't, we're not checking anymore. We're not, it's not the active, even though we're very clearly looking at this assault rifle. And it's just because we're checking complex collisions. So I think the next step would be to just do another trace of a slightly wider, I don't know, maybe a 5 radius. And then if that hits anything complex, then we use that. And then if that doesn't work, then we just do a normal line trace for simple collision. and simple collision will probably get a hit. And then if that doesn't hit, that's when we check the distance to the camera, and then if the distance to the camera is nothing's within like a certain threshold, or if we're not even looking at it, then we'll check horizontal distance. So but this does work nicely. Like right here you can see, well, that's what the simple collision, the simple collision will check the simple collider. So in this case, if we look at the actual gun mesh itself, then I can show. So yeah, if I show the simple collision, right now it's just a simple cube. So obviously I'll make that more accurate in a bit, but that's where having that stuff will help. So doing a slightly wider trace to see if we hit anything, and then we check against the simple collision, which the simple collision will, in this case, pretty much looking anywhere near the gun will hit it. So it would just hit this box collider, which it's using to currently simulate physics. Again, I'm not doing my pickups with physics simply because that's too expensive. So but this do be working. Is sick. I love this. I love that I finally will have an interaction system with outlines. And the cool thing is it only works with objects that are within your interaction radius. So, you know, it's clearly hitting that gun over there, but that's not technically within my radius, so I don't count it. It's only the objects that are blue, so you'll essentially, hopefully it should be a little intuitive to be able to walk up to guns and kind of see the outlines. I don't know if it'll be intuitive at a glance, but hopefully as you play the game it'll be intuitive to learn that, you know, hey, these ones have a blue outline, I know I'm in range of that, I see that these ones don't have a white and I want that one as a sniper. So you keep walking until it either turns gold or blue, and you know that you can kind of sort through it. So that's nice. And obviously this will be a little easier to test once I get the HUD in. And then that's just for determining the current pickup. Sometimes, you know, maybe certain pickups won't let you pick it up. You know, like you can see my shadow, I'm holding an assault rifle, so I technically shouldn't be able to pick any of these up. So at some point I'll have to import or introduce that code where it actually checks to see if that object is interactable. Like things like dual wielding. If you're holding an SMG, you won't be able to switch out the SMG on the ground, but you will be able to dual wield it. And that's why in my interaction interface, I have can interact primary and can interact secondary, because interacting primary would be picking it up and interacting secondary would be dual wielding. So if you can't pick it up, but you can interact with it dual wielding, then it'll still show the message. It'll just do a simple Boolean check. Check if either one of those are true, and if either one of those are true, then it'll let you interact with it. So on that note, I'm going to choose a different playlist next time I stream. But on that note, I'm going to end with that for now. This is in a very good place. So I'm happy with this right now. So just to recap what we did today, let me disable that trace. So we got it to where we look at items now. They'll fade in at a distance, and that's a distance that is completely customizable. So I can fade in however much I want that to be. But they'll fade in. I'll likely change that to be a very long fade in, which I'm actually going to do right now because I feel like it. And Actually, I can just walk probably like right here is when it should be full. Let's go a little bit closer and I'll just tweak this distant fade. Dang. I don't know if my fade code is working quite how I think it should. I think it's doing a multiplicative fade, so we change the glow amount to 1. Yeah, that's what it's doing. I'm gonna have to do like a multi-fade. That's fine. I can change that next time. But yeah, so distant weapons will now fade in and out. And then when you overlap with them, they'll change blue. And then whichever one you're looking at will now highlight. Which we also have to get the highlight to go through other weapons, but I've got to sit down and actually look at the outline code and determine how to get it to ignore just everything but the object itself. I got it at one point in my old project, so I have to open up UE 4.24, which actually I think I just uninstalled, which is funny. So yeah, nice little smart interaction system so far. Just trying to make it a little bit more intuitive. Hopefully, there's not going to be a perfect interaction system where, like right here is actually a perfect example. If we look at where probably the center of the screen is, with the sphere trace idea, it'll probably end up hitting this weapon instead of this weapon, whereas you might be wanting to pick up this weapon instead of this one, which would obviously be kind of annoying. So maybe I'll trace against the simple collision first, and then, well, if I trace against the simple collision, I won't even need, I might not even just do that. I might just trace against the simple collision, and then do distances. So but I can go look at my old Gen 2 build and see how I actually check that, because oh right, that's how I did it. And I'll have to figure out a smarter way to do this. Probably just do some dot product checks. Essentially, if if the gun is relatively in my view, then it'll start doing the one that's closest to it. Or if just the segment distance is a certain length away, then it'll choose that. If not, then it'll just use the distance on the ground. Now, if you're not looking at weapons, they won't be trying to do it based off the direction you're looking, and it'll be doing it based off the direction that they are on the ground. But this is good. This is a good start. Likely be streaming later today. Probably gonna go play some games with a few friends and relax a little bit, and then more. I want to finish this by the end of the day, so yeah. On that note, let me get this set up. On that note, guys, I'm gonna head out. So that's the end of the stream, and yeah, I will talk to you guys later. So have a good one. Be back some friends and take it easy.